Hey everyone, it's Mark. I'm here to help you put more money in your pocket through credit cards and smart financial habits. If that sounds good to you, then please do me a quick favor and click on the like and subscribe button down below. If you've ever wondered when is the best time to pay your credit card bill, especially if you want to build credit or boost your credit score, then this video will be extremely helpful to you. Now, for those of you who want a quick upfront answer in terms of when is the best time to pay your credit card bill, the answer is simply this: pay your bill after your close date, but before your due date. And that is the sweet spot to make sure that you build credit in a positive way, boost your score, and have no issues with interest whatsoever. Now, for those of you who would appreciate an actual explanation and a deep dive into what this all means and how it works, especially understanding an open date versus a close date versus a due date, then I will dive into all those details for you right now. Let's begin with 7 words that you need to know to understand all the concepts that I'm going to be introducing you to in the next few minutes here. First off is your statement. That simply means your bill, and it's due once every single month. Second, you want to know what your balance is, and that is how much you owe at any given moment in time. A simple way to think about that is the total of all of your purchases put together. Third, we have your billing cycle. Now, this is the period of time between one bill and the next. It's approximately 30 days depending on the month. So for the purposes of this video, we'll simply say that your billing cycle is that 30-day window or period of time where you can make your purchases, rack up that balance on your card with no interest, and then you have to pay that balance off later. And your billing cycle is defined by your open date and your close date. Those are terms 4 and 5 on your screen. So the open date, or the opening date, is the first day of your billing cycle. The close date, or the closing date, is the last day of your billing cycle. And then we have number 6, your due date. And that's the day your bill or your statement is actually due. And when that bill or statement comes to you in the mail, or maybe it's delivered electronically to you on your account portal as a PDF, you'll also see your minimum due. And that's the smallest amount of money that you can pay for an on-time payment. Now that we've laid that groundwork, let's go into each of those terms in a little bit more detail with some visuals to bring it all to life for a very clear and easy to follow answer. Here's a screenshot of one of my bills with American Express. You can see that it shows you all the different details of your account and your balances and all the things you should be aware of every single 30-day period. So you'll have things like your interest rate, your balance, the minimum payment due, all the individual transactions that you purchased during that billing cycle. So it's very good to get familiar with your statement or your bill. So if you just got your first credit card or you're new to the credit card world, make sure that when you get your first statement, actually look at it and go over all the details, get familiar with the terms, and even go look up the words that you may not know, or watch this video a few times because I should answer most of them for you. Now we'll move on to the balance, and this is how much you owe, or basically, to say it very simply, the total of all your purchases and maybe additional interest or fees in case you have like an annual fee on your card or something like that. But for the most part, these are all of your purchases added up together. And on the top of your statement, you should see where it says new balance or total balance or something like that, with the amount that you will owe on the due date when that eventually hits. Third up is the billing cycle. And again, this is the period of time between one bill and the next. So on the example of your screen here, you can see bill number 1. That cycle for me was August 22nd through September 21st, which was a 31-day cycle. Then bill number 2 came about a month later, and that bill was all of my purchases from September 22nd through October 22nd, another 31-day cycle. A few good points to know: look at the bullets at the bottom of the page here. Again, the billing cycles last 28 to 31 days on average. Your balance is the total amount spent during that approximate 30-day billing cycle. And every billing cycle has an open date and a close date. So let's explore both of those terms and see the different examples of what they could be for you. We'll start with the open date, and that's the first day of your billing cycle. Now I have a couple examples here on the screen. You'll see it, the American Express example on the left and the Discover version on the right. And what I want you to be aware of here is that your open date, which is again that first day of your billing cycle, is not necessarily the first day of each month, meaning your open date is not necessarily January 1st or February 1st. It could be any day of the month. So for American Express on the left, you can see there boxed in red, my open date was the 22nd of the month. In that specific example, it was August 22nd. And then Discover on the right-hand side, you see the open date there was August 17th. Or in other words, the 17th of the month. Now, if you move on to the close date, that's the last day of your 30-ish day billing cycle. Again, this is not necessarily the last day of each month. and it can be different for every card. So for American Express on the left, the close date here was the 21st of the month. And for Discover on the right-hand side, that close date was the 16th of the month. So while both of these cards have different open dates and different close dates, they still have a 30-day period, the billing cycle, during which I can make purchases. Now the due date is the day your bill or your statement is due, and I've boxed it there in red on my American Express one for you to see. That payment due date was October 16th, 2020. And just be aware that your due date is about 21 to 25 days or so after your billing cycle close date. And when your bill is due, you'll see the option to pay the minimum due, which is term number 7 to know. That is the smallest amount you can pay for an on-time payment. And if you only pay the minimum due, in this example here, it's $43. The remainder of the balance that you don't pay off will be charged interest. So of course, to avoid interest, do not pay the minimum due. Instead, pay the full balance off. Now, so far we've introduced 3 kind of confusing terms: the open date, the close date, and the due date. And I want to make sure that those 3 terms are extremely clear to you because we're about to transition into when is the best time to pay your bill. So I'm going to do a couple more quick examples here with visuals to make sure it's very simple to understand. And then we'll take all the concepts, put them together, and then answer the question head on. When is the best time to pay the credit card bill? So here's a screenshot of a part of my Discover It credit card bill, and I've color-coded and numbered everything here for you. So the open date, number 1 in green, the close date, number 2 in orange, and the due date, number 3 in red. So the open date for my individual credit card account was the 17th of the month. And then roughly 30 days later, I had my close date, which was September 16th. And then you can see my payment due date, which is October 11th. And that is when I need to pay my bill on or before that date in order for the payment to be on time and also to avoid any interest charges. Now, putting this on a timeline helps to visualize this in a different way as well. Look on the left-hand side of your screen in green. I have August 17th, which was my open date for my Discover It bill. That's when my 30-day billing cycle began, and it ended in the orange, September 16th. You can see I labeled that period there from August 17th to September 16th in a light blue color, where I labeled it billing cycle, plus or minus 30 days. And I put a little icon there of a hand with a credit card, because that's the period during which I made all of my purchases, and the balance was increasing during that billing period as I was paying for my utilities, food, gas, etc. So then once my close date on September 16th there in orange hit, that's when Discover took all of my purchases, added them up together, and created my statement or my bill to give me a very clear picture of how much I owe and all the different transactions that I made over the last 30 days. Then one day later, September 17th, that's when a new billing cycle begins, and a whole new window of about 30 days will begin, and that will come in a different statement around a month or so later. But look at the purple there. I have this window of time before my bill's actually due. That's the period of time where I can actually keep carrying the balance because I don't have to pay the bank back yet. It's usually about 25 days, maybe about 3 weeks or so after the close date. The only time I actually have to pay off my bill is on the due date, October 11th in my case. So during my entire billing cycle, I'm not being charged interest, and then after my cycle closes, I get my bill, see the total. I don't have to pay it still for another 3 weeks, maybe 25 days. And during that period, I'm also not being charged any interest. The only time you'll be charged interest is if you carry a balance beyond the due date. So now you probably have somewhat of an idea in terms of when the best time is to pay your credit card bill. Let's do a quick Q&A session, and the first question will be, when is the best time to pay my credit card bill or statement? The best time to pay your bill is after the close date, but before the due date. Keep watching if you want to know exactly why that is. Question number 2, I have a small credit limit. Can I make payments early during the billing cycle to lower my balance? Yes, you can make payments at any time, multiple times per month or per cycle. Question number 3, I heard I should use less than 30% of my credit limit. Is that true? Well, yes and no. This is a general rule. Basically, the higher percent of your credit you use, the lower your credit score. Keeping your utilization at 30% or lower helps keep your score higher each month. However, your utilization is reported 1 time per month, not daily. Whew. Now that is a relief. With most banks, only the balance on your close date is reported to the credit bureaus. this becomes your utilization for that month or that cycle. So the best practice is to have 30% or less utilized by your close date. Let's see a quick example. We'll assume that today is November 15th. You have a credit limit of $1,000 and a balance on that credit card of $800. And we'll assume that your billing cycle closes on November 20th, 5 days from today. Now let's fast forward 5 days. Now it's November 20th. Your billing cycle closed and your utilization was reported to the credit reporting agencies, also known as the bureaus, as 80%. That hurts your credit score because that's a pretty high utilization. Now let's take this a step further. Again, today's November 15th. You have the same credit limit of $1,000, your $800 balance, and your billing cycle closes on November 20th, 5 days from today. Now let's fast forward just 2 days. Now we're at November 17th. You decide to make a $600 early payment during your billing cycle to lower your balance from $800 down to $200. Then fast forward 3 more days. On November 20th, your billing cycle closed. Your utilization was now reported as 20%. In other words, $200 out of a $1,000 credit limit. That helps your credit score because 20% is under that 30% general rule. Then you can pay off the remaining $200 balance before the due date, which would likely be around December 15th or so, for no interest. Next question. This is a big one. If I buy something with my credit card and pay it off right away, will that help my credit score? Well, the answer is no, and actually it could hurt your score. Here's why. Remember, your balance and utilization get reported once per month. This happens on your billing cycle close date. For that reason, the bureaus do not see your daily utilization. If you pay off your charges every time you make them, then when your close date arrives, your reported balance will be $0 and your utilization will be 0%. On paper, it looks like you're not using your card. That means the bureaus will not be able to properly score your payment history, your balances, or utilization, and those are the most important factors of your credit score. So, pay your bill after the close date, but before the due date. This allows a balance to be reported to build positive credit history and avoids all interest. And you can see the diagram there at the bottom that I drew for you. You can see the open date, which is the beginning of your cycle, then the close date, the end of your cycle, and then the due date, when your bill is due. But it's the balance on that close date that gets reported to the bureaus. And while there are a lot of different bureaus, the main 3 are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. These are the companies that come up with scoring models to derive your credit score and prepare your credit report. You can think of it like this. The bureaus do get a single snapshot in time, like a picture, one time per month. They do not get live updates 24/7, like a movie. And that's a huge relief because you don't have to worry about this general rule of 30% every single day of the month. The credit reporting agencies or the bureaus are not watching you like a hawk, seeing every single move you make, every single charge. They're not calculating your utilization every second of the day. All they see is one snapshot in time, once a month, of your overall balance, your utilization, and the like. And that's the information that they use to drive your credit score. So in case it wasn't clear until now, the best time to pay your credit card bill is after the close date of your billing cycle and before the due date. And if you follow this approach, you can be confident that you'll be building your credit score over time and being responsible with your credit, avoiding all debt and avoiding all interest. If you enjoyed this video and believe it could benefit others, then please help me get it in front of more people by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. I'd also love to know if you found this video helpful in understanding the difference between an open date, a close date, and a due date, and also when the best time is to pay your credit card bill. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you all again in future videos, and until then, remember, you are great.